Welcome everyone to what might be my first get ready with me on this channel. I think it's my first get ready with me. So I do my makeup and my hair, including putting on this crown, for this video while I review and talk about the first episode of Bridgerton, season 1, episode 1. So if you guys love Bridgerton or you've been interested in watching it, note they are spoilers, but only for the first episode. Make sure you watch this video because I'll be going through the whole episode. Unfortunately, this video is not sponsored by Netflix, but Netflix, if you want to sponsor me, your girl is here. So yes, this is just a nice, little get ready with me. I've never done one like this where I'm reviewing a show, I don't think, on this channel. So if you want more of these, make sure to comment the B and make haste. Hit the subscribe button right down there, as well as the bell. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications every single time I post from Lady Whistledown. Let's get straight into the video. Okay, so we're getting straight into it. I'm going to start by doing my hair. I'll be putting on a wig. Then I'll go on and do a little bit of makeup. I have my little cup of tea. Now, I was supposed to have a nice little fancy British teacup, but they're in boxes somewhere. So if this continues and you guys want more of these Bridgerton episodes, like 7 more, then I will go ahead and use the fancy cup in the next one. I won't waste time talking about everything I'm using because I just don't want to waste too much time going back and forth between talking about the show and talking about the things I'm using, but everything will be listed in the description box in the order that I use it. As soon as the show starts, the opening sequence, we get to see the town and how beautiful it is. A little nice wide shot. And just so you know, this show is based on fiction. It is set in around 1813, but it's not historically accurate, or else there would have been no black people in positions of power and stuff. But yeah, we'll get into that later. So we start with the Featherington family, and you'd think as the show is called Bridgerton, we'd start with the Bridgerton family. But no, we start with the Featherington family, and this girl is forcing this poor girl into a tight dress. And as soon as we get to the Bridgertons, we start to get a little glimpse of how beautiful their house is, and we see that little bee, which is an ode to the books. Note that I haven't read any of the books, so I can't comment on that. I just know there's something to do with the bees. And here we find out that the Bridgertons are like the most beautiful, and we get introduced to the younger girls first, then the older brothers. And here, this is where we meet one of my favorite characters, Eloise Bridgerton. She is very, very feisty and very unladylike. The way she screams, "Daphne! Daphne! You must make haste!"
Should you think she heard me?
Everybody's going to visit the queen, so we have the Featheringtons and the Bridgertons who live right across the street from each other. They are all rushing to see the queen so that she can choose who the most precious or the one to look for is. And this is where we see Daphne looking all beautiful in her white dress and her crown. And you can see the difference already. The Featheringtons are very bold and dramatic, and the Bridgertons are very muted colors, blush white, and very sophisticated. And then we're wondering where the oldest brother is, who's supposed to take the role of the father, since their dad is not there. And he is getting busy with some woman up against a tree. And as soon as this starts, you're like, okay, this is not the classic old school period drama. It's gonna be a little bit more raunchy than usual. I love that it has all the classic, dramaticness of all these period dramas. Everybody's breathing everything is just so dramatic at all times. I'm living for it. I just love it. There's so much effort that's gone into this, the costumes, the everything. So anyway, we meet the queen, and she's black, yes, with her. I love the diversity. There's a dark-skinned black woman there. There's an Asian woman on her side. All the handmaids and the soldiers and stuff are all white men. Yes, come through. So first, the Featheringtons are introduced. They remind me of Cinderella and the Ugly Stepsisters, with Cinderella being Penelope. And they are all just a mess. They're all stumbling and squeezing through the door. They're not even organized when going into the door. For Philippa, who's the oldest daughter, who's supposed to be getting married, this is her third season. So it seems like the queen is already bored and tired of seeing her again, and you're still not married. She wants to be dazzled. She wants to be impressed, and she is not impressed by these. And just to make it worse, Philippa faints at the queen's feet. The drama begins, and she's just take these little people away from me. And then, of course, we have Daphne. She walks through and she looks gorgeous under the light. And again, remember, this is not historically accurate most of the time. So if you're looking at the fabrics and being like, oh, maybe there wasn't glitter in this time, maybe there wasn't that specific style, it's more like inspired by, okay? And she looks beautiful with her little tiny bangs. Now, okay, I do not like these bangs. You can easily tell that this is a wig. I even like these better than when she actually has like the full fringe out. But at the same time, like, hey, who am I to? This is fictional, okay? I don't mind. It doesn't bother me that much. And we forgave Beyonce for those ugly short bangs she had. So she bows to the queen, and the queen gets up out of her chair and she's like, flawless.
Flawless, my dear.
This, of course, already sets the tone and it makes Daphne the one to watch. Everybody's like, who is this beautiful girl? And then the intro comes, and is it only me? I'm a sucker for intros. I love the intros. I like to see everything that's going on with the pianos and the tree and the letters and the guns and the dance floors. I'm like, what does all this mean? I actually really love the intros. I usually don't skip the intros unless it just automatically does it by itself. And we see the first like print of Lady Whistledown.
Lady Whistledown.
And we don't know who Lady Whistledown is. And after we hear them talk, we discover that they have had gossip papers before, but they usually don't call out people by name. You know, like the classic, like, oh, so-and-so is seen promenading with whoever. But this specific Lady Whistledown, she calls people by name and she will talk about everything and nobody knows who it is. What I will say is it's not who it's narrated by. So the narration is done by Julie Andrews, and Julie Andrews is not Lady Whistledown. It will be played by someone else. So Lady Whistledown also talks about how the queen praised Daphne and called her the diamond of the first water.
The diamond of the first water.
Which is the name of this episode. Clearly, we have a little bit of like a modern gossip girl kind of element. Everyone's trying to figure out who's writing all this gossip about everyone. But at the same time, they think, oh my god, this might actually benefit the Featheringtons, because if Daphne goes off the market, then there's a quicker chance for her children to go off the market as well. As I said, Philippa is on her 3rd season and she is still not married. And then, like we see, like Eloise, someone who's like really not interested in the whole wedding thing. We have Penelope here who doesn't want to get married now, and she's like, if you only want 3 people, you know, I don't have to get married this year. You could just put me up for another year like Eloise, because we don't know if it's because she just doesn't want to get married or if she's uncomfortable with it or insecure or anything like that. We can't tell at this point. All you know is there's another cousin on the father's side who's coming, who this woman has to take care of, and they're just like, oh, she's probably poor.
Poor are our burden.
You know, be nice to her, be kind. We just have to take care of her. There's nothing we can do. And then in walks in Marina, and she is beautiful. Probably more beautiful than all the Featherington girls. And now Mama Featherington is threatened. And then now finally we are introduced to Mr. Regé-Jean Page, who plays the Duke of Hastings. And he comes in the most dramatic way ever, and I am living for it. I love it so much. He comes in riding on his horse, and he jumps off like he's in I don't know what kind of action movie. And he just looks so good. And we can see already that even the clothes he wears look slightly different to what a lot of the other people are wearing. And this is because like he travels a lot and he's just come from Greece or something like that. And immediately we see he meets Lady Danbury. And we don't know who she is to him, but by the way she speaks to him, you can assume that she's some kind of mother figure. And even though she calls him
Your Grace,
she's still like, you know, she's in charge. She's like, you'll do whatever I'm going to do, whatever I tell you to do. Immediately we see that he has an issue with his dad, because she's like, oh, my condolences about your father. And he's just like, whatever. And she's like, yeah.
you hated the man.
So we know probably we're going to get a little bit more information about that. And then she says, you know, he's the most eligible bachelor and she's going to be hosting a ball. And he's like, you know, not interested. And she's like, denied. You'll be attending the event.
I must ask you to accept my regrets.
Your regrets are denied.
Well, I suppose a brief opinion.
Excellent.
And we can see Penelope in the bright yellow colors, like those are the family colors of the Featherington. And Daphne walks in again in her all white, and all the men are staring at her and wanting her, of course. And then this thing really annoyed me and almost confused me a little bit. I was like, are we gonna have a little bit of a Game of Thrones kind of vibe going here? Because her brother is super protective to the point where I started to think, is he in love with her? Is there something going on that we don't know? But it turns out no, he's just super overprotective at this point. And so all the men who come to try and dance with Daphne, he is like, nope, don't like this one. Nope, this one has a bad family. This one has this. Like, he comes up with excuses for everything. Every man who comes up, he's like, no, this person's not good enough for my sister. Not good enough for my sister. He wants something specific. Marina walks in. We start to see immediately one of Daphne's brothers, but younger than the oldest one. Immediately, as soon as he sees Marina, he's like, who is this beautiful woman? And then here we have the most perfect song. Another thing I love about Bridgerton is how they mix modern music played in a classical style. Oh my god, they were so good. So it was the perfect song. They're literally playing Thank You Next. And it's like, you know, you're choosing the man of your dreams and it's all thank you next, thank you next. And yeah, I just love their choice of music. It really it really brings the modern element to the show. And then now, finally, the Duke walks in and everybody is rushing towards him. All the women, the Featheringtons are all trying to introduce themselves to him. Like, you know, of course they want the status apart from anything. He's a Duke. They want the title. And all the ladies are rushing and he's just not interested at all. He just wants to come and say hi, do his business and go back. Can we just talk about how fine this man is? This man is, he is so hot. Daphne is tired of her brother being super overprotective and she's like, okay, you know what? Let me just go and get a drink. And then we meet the annoying Mr. Nigel Burbrook. Oh my god, this guy is just so, his teeth are so like yellow already and he just has a very like creepy vibe about him. And he's clearly very interested in Daphne.
Always amused me, Miss Bridgerton, since I was a schoolboy and you were...
All but 5?
And she's just like, nope, I'm going to do anything to get away from this man. She runs away quickly. And as she's trying to avoid this man, as fate would have it, she bumps into the Duke by mistake. He's kind of like almost offended and now he's still following her and trying to talk to her. So she's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to make something up and let me try and make a fake conversation with whoever this man is. And the Duke, of course, he's very proud and he thinks, of course, everybody knows me. And she's like, what's your name?
Tell me your name.
And he's like, yeah, like you don't know what my name is already.
I honestly do believe you do not already know my name.
And she's just like, what is wrong with this man? But she's like, okay, clearly he's better than the man who's chasing me, so I will still try to force a conversation. And then all of a sudden, her brother comes out and it turns out that the Duke and her older brother had gone to Oxford together. He discovers, oh, so you're my best friend's little sister. I didn't know that. You can see that they're kind of attracted to each other, but also annoyed by each other at the same time, which is like the perfect thing for this kind of a relationship. So automatically she assumes like, okay, you must have like questionable behavior, because although she doesn't know exactly what her brother is up to because she's very naive, she does know that, okay, if this is the company you're keeping, you're probably, you know, kind of trash as well. You can see he's very intrigued because with him, every woman is always just so like, marry me, I want to be with you, I want this. And this girl is just like, you know what, I'm not interested, so what, okay, you're the Duke, but you hang out with my brother, so clearly your behavior is questionable. Daphne's like, okay, let's, let me get on the dance floor now. Her brother is like, no, you know what, it's actually better. If no one gets the chance to dance with you, it's actually better to go home.
But to leave them all wanting more.
Which is just like another stupid idea, but anyway, she's just like, he's my older brother, he knows what's best, so she leaves with him.
Which gentleman will be the very first to call?
Daphne is waiting and waiting because Marina stayed at the party and Daphne went home. She was like the belle of the ball. No one knew where she came from and everybody was just going to Marina's house. And with Daphne, a few suitors finally go to the house, and while they're there, the whole time, Daphne's brother is just there, literally standing over them like, what's this conversation about? Why are you doing this? And it's just so annoying. Like,
you are in my seat.
Can you please give this person some space? And it's not like she hated the people. It's not like he was protecting her. Like, she's like, I don't like this man. Everyone's just coming and he's just like, you know what? No, you're not good enough for my sister. You're not good enough for my sister. And then Marina, Everyone's coming over and they're all trying to talk to her. And then now we're like, oh, maybe the season's true incomparable, you know, the diamond of the first water.
Season's true incomparable
Is actually from the Featherington house and not the Bridgerton house. And of course, they're speaking about Marina because Daphne went home before anyone could even start anything with her. So now at the end of the day, Daphne's like, oh, fine, not at the end of the day, it's the morning. At the end of the morning, Daphne's like, oh, another caller, thank God, my brother's not home. And who is it? Lord Burbrook, the annoying man. And she tries to get her little sister Eloise to stay with her, but unfortunately, her mom is like, nope, gotta stay with this man. And like at the same time, like you think the mom will be like, no, 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 don't talk to this man, but at the same time they have to have so many like backups because in this time there literally wasn't anything else for women to do. Like getting married was the best thing you could do for yourself. Poor Penelope the whole time is still just playing with the dogs, and even the other older sisters don't have any suitors. It's just all for Marina. Now Daphne and her brother complaining, you know, she's like, why are you chasing all these men away and all this? And he's basically like, I'm doing this for your own benefit. And funny thing, when they were filming this scene, I saw a little behind the scenes clip. It was so funny. Like
the horses literally went backward.
every time they wanted to start talking, the horses would just start walking in completely different directions. It must be so difficult to film on a horse. So here we hear Lady Whistledown say that word has gone around town that every woman who tries to set up the Duke with someone, the Duke tells them that he has no desire to get married. Not to any specific woman there. He literally does not want to get married to anyone.
And oh, what an impressive presence it is.
Would you like to read it?
He has no plans of ever marrying.
Chastising the Duke and being like, you are a duke, it is time you find a wife, this is why all these women are following you. And then I like how the Duke is like, excuse me,
What are you?
you are the first Bridgerton in a line of Bridgertons. 9 times over, he's supposed to be getting married, and clearly we saw him messing around with that woman in the beginning, and the Duke goes directly to it, like,
Where is your wife? Is your plan to f her forever? Your mistress?
you just want to sleep with her for the rest of your life? Like, it is your duty to have a child. And he's like, hey, I have brothers, I don't have to do it. Although he's the firstborn, it's basically his responsibility at the time. And the Duke is like, I don't want to get married. And clearly he hints to not wanting to have a child because he says he doesn't even like to be called by his last name because he's like, that's my father's name. And clearly we saw that he hates his dad.
Hastings, you can't stop calling me that. It was my father's name. Never mind.
Duke is just a title, and it's probably going to end with me.
I have a title. As far as I'm concerned, will end with.
So now it is evening and it's time for another ball. And even the queen is like, maybe I made the wrong judgment. Maybe you weren't as special as I thought. So instead, Lady Danbury is like, you know, you can come sit with me in my box.
I insist.
And we know she's planning something because she was reading Lady Whistledown where they were like, who's going to figure out how to set the Duke up with someone? Daphne's just enamored by the music and she's not even concentrating on what the moms are saying behind her. And meanwhile, they are planning for Simon and Daphne. Basically, they want to set them up and they're like, you know, we can have a dinner at the house. You can invite the Duke, you know, just to hang out. The family chef of the Bridgerton house just happens to make the Duke's his favorite dessert.
The Duke is quite fond of gooseberry pie.
The very dish my cook is renowned for.
And next thing we know, we start to see, oops, there's a problem. Marina is mad as she's looking at her sheets and we're not sure exactly what is going on. It's the Bridgerton family house. Everybody sat at the table together. They're having fun. And they're all like arguing and just making fun of each other. And the Duke just really seems like he's really enjoying but also sort of envying everything a little bit. And his best friend is kind of like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Well, meanwhile, the mom is just smiling like, I think I did something here. And Daphne is completely uninterested. She's not impressed by him being a Duke or anything like that. And the Duke is also so surprised, like he can't believe even the children are sitting at the table with the adults. And we start to see like, okay, he probably had a little bit of a rough childhood or something if he finds it surprising that the kids are sat at the table with the parents. And then we start to see finally the first like sensible interaction between the Duke and Daphne Bridgerton. The Duke is like,
You appear displeased.
and she
Do I?
really is pretty much unimpressed. She doesn't care that he's a Duke or whatever.
I'd like to think you're happy about that.
And she's like,
It would be better if you refrained from thinking about me at all.
I would prefer if you didn't think about me at all. And this is where like okay, Daphne is, she is pretty feisty. They just have such good banter. Like as you just see this scene, you're like, okay, I know something good is gonna come out of this, because she's like,
You are a rake, through and through.
if you don't know what a rake is, according to Reggae's description,
A rake is a Regency fuckboy.
but also the Duke kind of owns it because he's just like, whatever, I am who I am. And he's like, well, you're desperate for marriage.
Desperate
I shall have you know.
to marry. Tell me I'm wrong.
And she can't even deny it. Then we see who the true head of the family is. And it of course, is the mother, Bridgerton. And she's like, look, you're the head of the family. So if you're supposed to be doing everything right, you're supposed to be married instead of, sleeping with that other woman and just denying Daphne something that could actually be good for her. Now, keep in mind, yes, he does know that the Duke is not necessarily the best person, but she's just reminding him like, hey, you're running out of time. You're the oldest brother. You're supposed to be married by now. And like everybody has their responsibilities.
Relying on your younger brothers to one day do the job that you cannot.
And honestly, he was getting on my damn nerves at this point. He was really annoying me. Like, dude, what do you want? Do you want to be right? Are you taking the role of being the protective older brother and doing what's right and being the head of the family, which means getting married and taking a wife? Or do you just want some of the role, not fulfill the rest of it? So she sets him straight. He is like, you know what? I need to grow up. I need to take my responsibility seriously. And then, of course, he has to take them to the extreme and just do everything to the extreme. So he goes to his little girlfriend, the opera singer. And, of course, first he sleeps with her. And then he's like, I can't do this anymore. I have to take my duties as the man of the family. I have to do this. And she's like, you were supposed to protect me and everything. And he's just like, nope, sorry. So now it's the next night and we have a huge ball again. And here we meet the annoying Cressida de Campo, who thinks she's the most beautiful thing. And she's so mean. She's the mean girl of the show. And she pours her drink on poor Penelope. And here Colin's like, I'm not dancing with you because I'm taking Penelope to the dance floor. And this makes her so happy because clearly she is in love with him. Then we cut to the Duke and a bevy of women following him as always. And we come back to his whole thing with his dad, which we're not sure exactly what's going on. But some woman's like, you look exactly like your father. And instantly his face drops.
Just like him, your father.
Like, no. We start to see the little side glances between the Duke and Daphne as they see each other. So okay, there's some attraction here. As soon as he shows his face, he's like, nope, cannot deal with this. He goes away because he doesn't want to even be next to these women. And then we have the helper or housekeeper at the Featherington house. And she looks at Marina's sheets and she's like, this girl has been here for over a month. And her sheets are still clean. This is what you call an 18th century pregnancy test. Mama Featherington is kind of like worried, but also happy at the same time because she's like, yes, she's not as valuable as my daughters. But at the same time, she's kind of like, what the hell am I going to do? This is an embarrassment. She's obviously thinking that her older brother comes and he's like, I have set you up with someone who is amazing. He's got a good standing. He's a perfect match for you. And it's Lord Burbrook.
You're to marry him. Be grateful it is done.
And she's like, excuse me. So obviously this was prompted by his conversation with his mom. And he just went ahead to make the worst and most dramatic decision. And she's like, I will not marry this man. And she decides to take a walk. So she walks into a garden by herself. And who does she meet? Of course,
Nigel, not now.
Lord Burbrook.
We to drop the honorific so soon?
So now after Daphne meets Mr. Burbrook, he is there and he looks so excited and he's like, you are going to be my wife, we will be married. And she's like, no, we will not.
You will never be my husband.
And I like that because she really does like a power move because back in the day, like, it's like whoever wants to marry you, especially if he's in good standing and he's like good in the community and your brother says you have to, you're just gonna have to do this. And next thing he tries to advance towards her and she punches him out cold. We see the Duke running to rescue her and he's like, oh, you could protect yourself.
I had no intention.
Of knocking the Klimp flat out.
And then she talks about how she basically really is desperate and if there's no one else to marry her, then she actually is going to be stuck with marrying this fool. The part that actually drives the show, and this is where the Duke comes up with a plan and he's like,
Perhaps there is an answer.
the classic old school fake romance, he says.
Pretend to form an attachment.
If everybody thinks that you're unavailable because you're with the Duke, they will want you more, and all the women will see me as unavailable because I will already be with a woman, and it will be a win-win situation. So let's just hold hands and parade ourselves and let everyone believe that we are together. And this is where I see, if you guys have watched For the People that he's in, the Duke of Hastings, he is in it and he plays Leonard Knox, and I really saw that character come out here with the way he talks with his hands, like, you know, let's do this. I really got that. It's another Shonda Rhimes show, and I was like, huh. But anyway, they're like under the fireworks, and it's so romantic as they walk, and everybody's looking at them like, oh my God, how did this just happen? And we have that classic moment where he's like, look into my eyes, you know? We have to appear as if we are really in love.
You must appear madly in love.
And as soon as they look into their eyes, like, first of all, the actors just have such great chemistry because you really believe it. Like, they don't look like they're acting. It just looks like, wow, this could be real. And here we have their beautiful dance and the amazing fireworks display, which was all real, by the way. Those fireworks were all actually there. Apparently the budget for this was like approximately £5 million per episode, which is crazy. So I thought, you know, why not end this in the most royal looking place in my room? My tufted bed. So anyway, at this point, we see everything. I'm done with my makeup, by the way. And Lady Whistledown is like, we don't know how this happened.
You missed the most remarkable coup of the season.
But if anyone couldn't find out, it's me. XOXO, Gossip Girl. Just kidding. Of course she ends it as
Yours truly, Lady Whistledown.
Finally, let's just address a little bit of the whole thing that's, I guess, the most thing that's annoying people about it not being historically accurate. If this show was historically accurate, all the black people would be slaves or servants, and we would not have the Duke and the Queen be in such high power. And I love that we have the amazing music, but they didn't play modern music. They played the modern music, but in the style of the time. And I think that this show is just so amazing. If you want an episode 2 of this, comment the bee emoji in the comments below. And every week on a Friday, all the episodes, you can even let me know in the comment section below what you'd like me to do as we talk about the show, or I could even just sit and talk about the show without doing anything distracting. You can let me know. I just know that you guys like hair stuff. Gotta finish it off with my crown. If you've watched any of my other Get to Know Me videos, then you know that I love TV shows and TV series, and I watch so many of them, and I'd love to do so many more. So like I said, comment the B if you want episode 2, and just for regular hair growth tips and stuff like that, you can hit my face right there. Hit my face here to subscribe to my other channel. I don't post there that much, but I do post stuff, especially when you request. Watch the 2 videos on the side of the screen right here if you'd like to see any of my older videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!